Okay, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Your homework was assignment number 5. Is that right? That should be right, yes. Is it 5 or 6? I'm confused now.
Maulana.
Was 5 homework? Okay. So Bismillah. So why does it seem familiar like we did this already? Did we not do this already? Okay, so we have to mark assignment number 5. Okay, Bismillah. So the first verse reads, آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون. So the first question is verse 285 and verse 286 are the last two verses of Surah Al-Baqarah. What is the virtue of these two verses as mentioned by Ibn Kathir? So what did you find there?
Assalamu alaikum, Maulana.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Everyone all right?
Alhamdulillah,
Yes.
alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Maulana, what I saw there, what I read was, if you read these last two ayats of Surah Baqarah, it will be sufficient for you. I just want you to elaborate on that. Is it sufficient for you for the evening when you go sleep? Is it sufficient for you if you do it every night for the next day or so? Can you elaborate on that? How do Maulana?
Okay, good. So let me just where is this Quran Hive? Let me just open this quickly. Um, 285. So the Arabic is من قرأ بالآيتين من آخر سورة البقرة في ليلة كفتاه. Whoever reads the two ayahs, the two verses from the end of Surah Al-Baqarah at night, kafatahu, it's a bit smaller font here. Kafatahu, kafa means to be sufficient, to be enough. So my understanding, and I haven't read the Sharh of the Hadith in detail, but my understanding would be that it is enough to fulfill your needs. So in other words, your needs for the night are that you have a restful sleep, that you are safe at night, that your family is safe, that you are in good health and so on. So this will be then sufficient for you for those, basically.
Okay, I also understood like that. Shukran, Maulana.
Yes. And there's a similar virtue also for the 3 quls as well. That the 3 quls are also sufficient for you. And what I want to mention also is that in Cape Town we have something called a voorwerk. And the voorwerk, you read the 3 quls and you read the beginning of Surah Baqarah and you read Ayatul Kursi and you read from the end of Surah Baqarah. So these things are actually all part of the Sunnah. They're actually part of Hadith and the guidance of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it's something that we should actually keep alive within our families and within our homes. And the niyyah also behind us doing this translation is that we are now able to understand these verses and we are able to recite these verses, inshallah. So make it part of your practice that you start reading these verses at night. Make it part of your spiritual practice with the niyyah that it must be sufficient for you, inshallah ta'ala. Next one. What are the grammar labels for the underlined words? What are the grammar labels for the underlined words? Ar-Rasul bima. Brother Irshad, Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.
How's Maulana doing today? Okay? Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Busy days, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, good. Okay, let's go. For that line, the ar-rasulu is a fa'il because it's in Raf.
Okay, good. And also just to mention that the verb amana is a verb, but we haven't done that verb yet. But amana means to believe. So Rasul is the fa'il for amana. Good.
Then the bima is a jar wa majroor.
Okay, so the B is a harful jar, good. And the ma is an ismul,
Majhul.
ismul majrur, good.
I see Malana on like all the websites that Malana showed us, they just shorten it. They don't write harful jar and majrur. They just write jar wa majrur.
Yes,
I
yes,
guess
yes. It's
because
basically abbreviation, but the full one should be harful jar
Okay.
and other ismul majrur.
Okay. And then the next
Good.
underlined word is ilayhi. That is harful jar and ismul majrur.
Good. Next one.
Okay. Then the min is also harful jar. Then the rabbi is a majrur. Then the rabbi and the
Good.
he is a mudafun ilayh. There's a light and then.
Okay, good. Perfect. So those are all perfect. Can I ask you about the word mu'minun? We haven't done the
It's
rule before, but what the hal is mu'minun in?
in raf.
In raf'un. Do you want to, we haven't done it before, so maybe let me mention why, or do you want to guess why, Brother Irshad?
I wrote a note here. I did the homework some time back, Malana. I wrote a note here to say that it's in raf. I think I gave it some thought.
Okay.
Maybe Malana can explain. It'll just be easier for everyone.
Yeah, it's totally new, so I haven't done it before. So just to explain that, wal mu'minun, that wa, if it's a waw and, whatever it is, it's a conjunction basically. So something and something, whatever it is referring to, it will follow the same hal. So what is wal mu'minun referring to? What and what? What and the believers? Like we have apples and bananas. Sunir, bismillah.
Ar-Rasulu.
Good. So ar-rasulu is the fa'il, but not only the messenger and the believers also believed. So in other words, al-mu'minun is referring to, or let's not referring to, it is joined to ar-rasul. It is a conjunction to ar-rasul. So whatever it is joined to, it will follow the same hal. So if it had to be ar-rasulullah, it would have been al-mu'minina.
Maulana,
that's
is it the same hal or is it follows in gender as well? Because I think in the next question that is the question, and I think my answer was that it appears that it's in the same gender.
No, it'll follow only with hal, because you could
Only
have
the
a the man believes and the woman believes.
Okay.
You ask me, or you could
Yeah.
be the one man believes and the two females, for example. So you could change the number and the encasing. So
Okay.
I'm sorry, you could, yeah. So basically, the hal is the one that follows. Okay, good. That's something new we haven't done before, but you're going to see it now in the next verse again. We see the next verse again. The next verse here. So let me just give you the Arabic for that. I don't know how to annotate. I'm not using my laptop at the moment, so let me just see what I can do here. But this wow is called the wow of atf. Let me just write it in the chat maybe. It'll be easier. This wow is a wow of atf. So wow. And the thing after the wow is the ismul ma'tuf. Ma'tuf. So I'm putting in the chat block. I hope you can see it there. The wow is the wow of atuf. So wow is a harf. Atuf means conjunction. So it's the wow of conjunction. And whatever comes after it is the ismul ma'tuf. It's the ism of that has been joined. Or conjoined, I don't know if that's a proper word. It has been joined. So it has been joined to what comes before it. So there's a wow of atuf, and that's called ismul ma'tuf. Ismul ma'tuf that we do in second year, but just to mention now, it's easy rule to learn. And we'll follow the previous thing in the hal of the previous one. We're going to see it again now in the next verse. The next verse is kullun, all of them, amana billahi, they all, so they all believe in Allah, wa malaikatihi, and his angels, wa kutubihi, and his books, wa rusuli, and his messengers. La nufarriqu bayna ahadim min rusulihi. We do not cause division, we do not separate or distinguish between ahadin, between anyone, min, from rusulihi, his messengers. So the first question is, if kullun is the mubtada, what is the news about kullun? If kullun is the mubtada, what's the news about kullun?
Maulana, I want to ask something about this. We had Lillahi ma fi samawati wa ma fil ard. And then Maulana explained if ma is the mubtada, right? And then the lillah was in front of ma, and you explained to us that that is part of the mubtada. Can this amana billah be the same example?
Okay, so let me ask the question differently. If kullun is the focus of the sentence, so kullun refers to the Prophet and all the believers, all of them. What is the news about all of them, just in terms of meaning?
The mean is that amana, they believe, they amana billahi, they believe in Allah, his kitab, his books, his
Is
his
there
books, his
angels and his,
malaika, the angels, books, and the messengers.
okay, good. So all of this here, amana billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi, is telling you about kullun. It's
Yeah.
telling you about kullun. So that's the first thing. So in terms of just news, if kullun is the focus of the sentence, all of them refers to the Prophet and all the believers. Kullun, all of them. The news is going to be all of them. What about all of them? Amana billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rusuli. They all believe in Allah and His angels and His books and His messengers. So in other words, that
Would-
there
That
is
will
going
be
to
the
be,
khabar then.
yeah, we'll say actually that takes the place of the khabar.
Takes, yeah.
Takes the place of the khabar.
Mm.
Okay, good. So let me ask a different question, Brother Hamid. I mean, while you're on the line here, amana, is it the ism or fi'l?
It's a fi'l, Maulana.
A fi'l, a fi'l. So in other words, what type of sentence is this here?
It's a
Amana
jumlatul
billahi.
fi'li.
So this part I
Jumlatul
highlighted
fi'liya.
here is Jumlatul Fi'liya. Good. But when I say Mubtada and Khabar, what type of sentence am I referring to?
That is a Jumlatul Ismiya. Yes, it's something how to think about.
Okay, so now we must enter into the matrix now. The matrix is like a world within the world. So in other words, Kullun is the Mubtada. In other words, it's a Jumlatul Ismiya. Then the
Yes.
Khabar of Kullun is actually a Jumlatul Fi'liya.
Oh.
The Khabar of Kullun is actually in the form of a Jumlatul Fi'liya. Okay. So that's also second year work, but just to mention, I think it's good to learn now already. And let me give you a simple example. I think a simple example for everybody. If I say the man is tall, that's Jumlatul Ismiya. And then if I say the man went to the shop, or the man is running is a verb, but that verb is giving you news about the man. It's giving you news about the man that the man is running. So in other words, this here is taking the place, Amana billahi wa malaikati wa kutubi wa rusuli, is taking the place of the khabar. Okay. Any other questions on that quickly before I carry on?
But Maulana, how would it be constructed like the man is running? Wouldn't it start with a fi'l and then put the man in raf like we did before?
Like for example, let me take a simple verb that you know, yaftahu. I want to say the man is opening the door. So I can say ar-rajulu yaftahu al-baba. Let me just see if I can let's get the PowerPoint here or something. Okay, so let me just do one here quickly. For example, yeah, I have a rajulu yaftahu al-baba. Yaftahu. Okay, so who wants to translate that? So Tawheed, Bismillah.
The man is opening the door.
The man is opening the door. So when you look at the first word, what label are you going to put for the first word?
Mubtada.
Going to be the Mubtada. Now, if I ask you from a meaning point of view, what is the news about the man?
Opening is opening.
Okay, so this is the news here. What form is the news in?
Is Jumlatul Fi'liya.
It's a Jumlatul Fi'liya. So I will say that this here, Yaftahul Baba, is a Jumlatul Fi'liya, and this is taking the place of the khabar for a Rajulu. Does it make sense?
Yes, Maulana, but you can put it as Yaftahu Rajulu al Baba as well, and
Definitely.
then it becomes
Then
Jumlatul Fi'liya.
it then becomes Jumlatul perfect. So basically, if I had to change this and make it like this, it would no longer be a Jumlatul Ismiyah, it would be a Jumlatul Fi'liya. So this here, Jumlatul Ismiyah, that is Jumlatul Fi'liya. Okay. It's
Yes,
just the
Maulana.
flexibility. It's a flexibility of Arabic that you can move it as you want it. But if you move this, remember, because the fa'il can't be to the right of the verb. The fa'il can only be to the on, left, or inside. As soon as it like moves to the right of the verb, it's now mubtada. Okay. But in terms of meaning, this will be the same meaning. There will just be subtle differences here. Very subtle differences. But in terms of basic meaning, it will be the same. Okay. Any questions on that? Are you guys good, or are you confused, or what?
It's just a linear way of thinking in first year when if we apply the rule for Mubtada and Khabar, then we want to stick to that rule, nothing else. But we came across it a few times with Man Kasar al-Asnam that threw us off a bit
Yes.
initially, but now we got used to it, that
Good.
the verb, that it can be at the beginning, the Mubtada, it can be a Jumlatul Ismiyah, and then still contain a fixed verb, a verb that we know, like a present tense verb.
Yes. And you can even make it. You can even make it differently as well. There's different types of khabar, but we don't do it in first year because there's a lot to learn in first year. So there's different types of khabar. For example, if I had to do this here, if I had to take another sentence like this here, and I had to say rajulu fil baiti. What's happening here? Yeah. Okay, sorry. What's happening here? Let me just make this text box bigger. Oh, what's happened there? Okay, so let me do this one here. Is that a sentence? Not this. يفتح الباب الرجل. Is that a sentence? الرجل في البيت.
No, Maulana.
Just not right for me.
Well, now wouldn't that be a sentence? The man is in the house, because there's
Good.
the man in the beginning, so there's a mubtada that makes it.
Yes. So in other words, we will translate that as the man is in the house. So can you see here what happened to the khabar now? Now the khabar is going to be a harful jar ism majroor in the place of the khabar. You with me? So there's different ways of constructing the khabar. There's 5 different ways of constructing the khabar. We do all 5 next day, inshallah. For you to remember for
Can I
this.
ask a question, please?
Yeah.
How would one say the man in the house? So as a fragment,
Yes.
if someone asks you a question, and then you answer the man in the house.
You see what happens in the man in the house is not a full sentence.
Yeah, how do you write it, Maulana?
You see what happens is that you have to add something at the end to write that. So in other words, I'll say الرجل في البيت طويل. How do you translate that?
Yeah, this is the man in the house is tall.
Don't translate the whole thing for me.
The man is in the house because the mubtada is tall, right?
Just say it again. The man.
The man is in the house.
No. Now you say the man in the house is tall.
In the house is tall.
Okay. So I think the reason you get like confused is because in Arabic there's no ease, so you have to mentally put the ease in the right place. You have to imply the ease, if you know what I mean.
Two
Yes.
men
Ask
is in
something,
the
Maulana.
house.
So if you just see a phrase like that, you'll only have to see the context. So if you just see that phrase alone, then you can assume it's a sentence. If it's with an then it becomes then it becomes a phrase in the first part.
So let me just say it again quickly. Sorry, I'm losing my place here. What's happening with my things here? I don't know. Take this away here. Okay, so just to maybe answer some, let me just give you another example. Maybe the more examples I give, then it either becomes more confusing or more clear. Let me give you another example here. Because I mentioned in the chat here, Rajulu. Try to translate that one there.
The tall man in the house.
The tall man. Okay, but again, do I add the ease or not?
Sorry, the tall is in the house. So the harful jar ism majrur will take place of the khabar. So it will be the atawilu follows in jend. So that will be a sifa mawsuf.
Okay, good. So perfect. So basically in all of these, look at the bottom three. Leave the top one out. Just leave the top one out here. If I look at these three things here, if I look at these three things here, all of these are going. No, wait, this is the same one. Let me take that one there. All of these three are sentences. And because there's no is or are, you have to like mentally put in the is or are. And yeah, you have to mentally put in the is or are. So what you have actually is that the easiest way I think about it, the easiest way I think about it is what's the focus of the sentence and what's the news about it. And if you ask a question for each one, it becomes much easier. So, Brother Isha, can I use you just to go through quickly?
I'm not going to guarantee I'm going to get it correct. I'm still stuck on the second one, but we can clear it up, inshallah.
Yeah, that's why I'm using you.
Guinea pig.
So, Bismillah, translate the first one for me. Arajulu fil bayti.
The man is in the house.
Good. Now the second one. Arajulu fil bayti tawilun.
The man in the house is tall.
Okay, because again, when I ask you from a meaning point of view, what do I want to give you? What's the news about the man?
You see, this is where I'm getting confused, Maulana. Is the news about him that he's in the house, or is that he's tall?
You tell me. What do you think it is?
Well, and can I ask a question, Mark?
Yes, good.
Is the focus not that the focus being the man in the house, and then the news about that man is that he's tall?
Yes.
So it's not it's not a rajulu the mubtada, but it's a rajulu fil baiti as the mubtada, because that is the focus.
Yeah, so the way we say this, we say the fil baiti is linked to the mubtada.
Linked to the
it's not linked to the
okay.
khabar.
Okay.
So back to you. In the second one, is the fil baiti giving you news about him, or he just wants to tell you more about the man? Like he wants to give you like the location of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what Maulana is saying, but if we go back to the previous one, right? In the first line over there, then the fil baiti is the news about the man.
Because there's nothing else there.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You with me? Because nothing else afterwards, so that must be the news. But in this one here, yeah. So in the second one is basically the tawil is the news. Try the last one quickly.
The tall man is in the house.
So from a news point of view, What are we trying to say is two? We're trying to say this in the house.
That he's in the house. But you see why this one makes more sense to me, Maulana, because you can think of that tawil as an adjective, right? So it's not giving news. It's kind of like describing the man. It's giving like an attribute to the man. Whereas in the
Okay.
first one, I don't feel convinced that the fil baiti is giving like an attribute of the man. But
In the first one.
yeah, I mean, so, Maaf, in the second one.
Okay. So I think with the second one is that the rule with the harful jar ism majrur is that you either have to take say the harful jar ism majrur is not in the place of the khabar, you either have to attach it to the mubtada or you must attach it to the khabar. For example, I given another example. For example, this maybe another example here.
Maulana,
Let's take a-
assalamu alaikum.
yeah. Bismillah, bismillah.
Is it like what I'm picking up is like the moment you hear the ease, whatever follows the ease, that almost sounds like that's the news. I don't know
Yes.
if that makes sense, but that's the way I'm seeing it here.
Yes, no, definitely. I think the challenge is where do you put the is?
Maulana, can I just ask? So in the second one, right? So if you look at Ar-Rajulu and Tawilun, so both of them are in Raf. So if you're going to look for the Mubtada and the Khabar, you're going to look for the Raf and you're going to look for the Raf. So if there's nothing on the second Raf, then there won't be a Khabar. So you could say that, like in the case of the first one, then the Jar, the Ism Majrur and the other one, that becomes like in place of the Khabar. But in the second one, because Tawilun is there and you have a Khabar, then the other one must then be linked to the Mubtada.
Okay, so that's a good way of approaching it as well. That if you don't see something in Raf'un, just say rule again. If you don't see something in Raf'un, then
Okay, so I'm gonna start the other way. So in the second one, I see the Mubtada and I see another word in Raf and that looks like a Khabar. So in between, that can therefore not be the Khabar. Right? So in the first one, because I don't see a clear Khabar, and in the way translated, we can say that is in place of the Khabar.
okay. So let me just do this example with me. Stay with me. Then you can just tell me if that rule works that you explain now. I just got there. We go. Okay, you also translate this one here. Allahu bil mu'minina alimun. Do you translate for me?
Allah is with the believers, all-knowing.
Okay. So where is the mubtada and where is the khabar here?
So I could easily say that Allah is all-knowing. Right? So in my mind, because Alimun is in the Raf, or let's start with Allah. So that is in the Raf, Allah. So that is the Mubtada.
Good.
And Alimun is also in the Raf, so that could be my khabar. And if I say Allah Alimun, Allah is all-knowing, then that is a sentence. So if I then add in the bil mu'minin, then it is not the khabar because I already established what the khabar is. So that would then be attached to the mubtada.
The mubtada or the khabar?
Bil mu'minin.
Is this alimun attached to Allah or attached to his knowledge?
I'm not sure.
What happened actually is that this when Allah says Allahu alimun, what's the bil mu'minin telling you? When Allah says Allah is all knowledgeable, what's the purpose of bil mu'minin? It is telling you what? It is telling you
Allah is all knowledgeable of the Muslim, of the believers. Yeah.
so in other words, is it telling you like is this, for example, give it like this here example is attached to this here.
Yeah.
Ar-rajulu fil bayti tawilun. When I say Ya Allah bil mu'minin alimun, is this attached to Allah or attached to alimun?
Well, it looks like it's attached to Alim.
Because the bil mu'minin is referring to the where Allah's knowledge extends.
Yes.
So in other words, if I can move it to the end of the sentence, it'll read easier in terms of like your basic understanding. Allahu alimun bil mu'minin. You with me? Okay. Anyway, we're getting a bit like into advanced discussion. These are all like second year work. The point I wanted to make, the whole point I wanted to make was just that you have different types of khabar. So here, fil bayti is a type of khabar. Fil bayti, there is a type of khabar. That's a normal khabar, that's a normal khabar, and that's a fil bayti is also a type of khabar. So let's rather go back because we'll ask specific questions around this, inshallah. So back to our original thing is that kullun amana billahi wa malaikatu kutuba rusuli. This part here is the news about everyone, about kullun. That is the news. And what form does the news take here? What's the form of the news? As our brother mentioned now, it's not there's no one word in Rafun. So what's the form of the news?
Jumlatul fi'liya.
It's a jumlatul fi'liya. It's a jumlatul fi'liya. Good. Now, next question. Look at the wows in this part of the ayah and the previous part of the ayah. What do you think the rule is? Actually, I did actually ask the question already. So, what do you think the function of the wow is here?
It's a conjunction.
It's a
atf.
conjunction here.
Mm.
Atf, yes. Well, atf. So what do we say?
Yeah.
What comes after the atf?
Ismul ma'tuf.
Ismul ma'atuf. It's a new word today.
Mm.
And what's the rule for Ismul ma'atuf?
I didn't hear that, Maulana.
What's
It
the
must
rule
follow
of
the
Ismul ma'atuf?
It
It's
must
following.
follow the hal.
The hal. So what is the first wire? What is malaikati? What's the hal of malaikatihi?
Jar.
Jar. And what hal is it following?
Also kutubihi and rusulihi.
Okay, what are they all following? They must all
They're
follow
all
something
jar.
at the beginning.
All jar.
But they must follow one word.
Billahi.
Oh.
They're all following billahi. See,
Lahi.
B is harfu jar and the word Allah is majroor. So billahi, this is jar because it's ismul majroor. And then wa jar. So it all follows the same hal. So basically the basic rule is that the wa is there for joining conjunction, and whatever it is referring to, it will follow that same hal. Whatever it's been joined to, like the believers must believe in what? They must believe in Allah. Only Allah? No. Wa malaikati and his angels. So that's linked to Allah. And what else? And his books and his messengers. So that is going to be the answer.
Maulana, that is the same as adding sifas to whatever you want to say about that word. Ne?
It's the same in terms of
the same.
The sifa is a follower and the ism ma'tuf is a follower.
Yes.
So it's the same. So if it had to be Allah, it will also be kutubahu, rusulahu. If it's Allahu, kutubuhu, rusul. So in other words, it's the same as sifa in terms of being a follower.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Maulana,
Now,
I went into a discussion with the Daurayas that I don't belong to, but
Bismillah, no, it's good.
I went into a discussion. Yes, and it is with the what do you the question says that the wow of the previous part, and that's where I find it very interesting in the previous part, because in the normal English of it, when we with the conjunction of and, it would be linked to Rabbihi. That is in the normal English way of saying it, but because we have to extrapolate the rule, and Sister Nuran, I think, yeah, she said she read the definition of badal. And I paid attention to that, and when I applied it to that rule, then it made sense with
Which
yeah.
word you referring to?
Well,
Mu'minun.
mu'minuna, the
No,
first
so
part. Yeah.
yeah, mu'minun is definitely joined to ar-rasulu. So it's
Yes.
definitely ismu ma'tuf.
Yeah. So for me, that is interesting because if we join it, if we had to join it with Rabbihi,
Yes,
not
yes,
knowing
yes.
the rule, then it would have a completely different meaning to the sentence. But
Or if you had
because
to,
we are
if you had to, even if you had to recite it wrong, you had to say, "Unzila ilayhi min rabbihi wal mu'minin."
yeah,
That would be very problematic. Why would that be problematic to say wal mu'minin?
because you would be saying as if the Rasul believed in things that the believers also sent down.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. And
Good.
because applying that, but I don't know, she came up with this and it made sense at the time, so I applied it. And but now Monana said something different,
Okay,
so I'll
okay.
stick.
So okay, leave Badal for now. So basically, wal mu'minun is definitely attached to ar-rasul and its conjunction. And I think the good point that you're also making is that if you say you know nahu, like imagine you know nahu, you only had a word for word Quran. What would you say? You would say amana, believed. The messenger has believed in that which unzila was sent down ilayhi, to him, the messenger, min rabbihi, from his Lord, and the believers. Then you'll be very confused. You say like, but how can the believers send anything down? You with me? Because you're using sequence, and sequence doesn't work for Arabic. So if you didn't know this hal was mu'minun and is joined to ar-rasul, you could basically completely misunderstand the verse. Yeah. So like it's a strange thing, but if you change certain encasings, they actually become statements of kufr. But anyway, if you change some hals, they become very problematic from meaning point of view. Okay, okay. But I'm the park the battle discussion, inshallah. Let's just focus, inshallah, first year. Okay. Now, which words are broken plurals in this part of the ayah, and what is the singular for each of them? So, what words are broken plurals, and what is the singular for each of them?
Malaikat, kutubun, rusuli.
Okay, so
Rusuli.
malaika
Those
is
three.
a okay. So good, malaika, kutub, and rusul are all broken plurals. What's a single for each one?
Malak.
A malak. Good. So a malakun is a one angel. A one angel is a malak. Okay, good. Not a malik. A malik is a
Possessor.
malik is a king, and
King.
a malak
King.
is an angel. So malakul maut is the angel of death. Malakul maut is the angel of death. Okay, good. What is the single for kutub?
Kitab. Maulana. Kitabun.
Kitab, good. And what's the plural for rusul?
Rasul.
Rasul, perfect. Okay, good. Next one. The next verse reads, وَقَالُوا, and they say. Okay, so let me see it all. Yeah. Maybe just to mention from an Aqidah point of view is that we establish our primary belief from the Quran. So when you say you have Iman, you have a mu'minun, Allah then describes Iman as not only believing in Allah, but part of Iman is to believe in the angels, and part of Iman is to believe in all the books, and part of Iman is to believe in all the messengers. Then Allah actually quotes what the believers say, and the believers say, "La nufarriqu bayna ahadim min rusulihi." We do not distinguish between any of the messengers. How do we reconcile? What does the statement mean? And how do we reconcile that with the fact that we regard the Prophet ﷺ as the most elevated of all creation and the most elevated of the messengers?
Maulana, I gave it a little bit of thinking and I thought, well, because maybe their thoughts were those days, in the time of the Nabi Sallallahu, and when this ayah came down, La nufarriqu bayna ahadim bi rusuli, and they thought, well, Allah, well, in the next, when you go a little bit to the waqalu sami'na wa ata'na, that we heard and we believe, then you see at the end, ghufranaka, they asking for pardon for thinking like that. I thought of that.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
The believers asked for pardon because they thought of that. They didn't act upon it, but they thought of it.
Okay, good. So again, okay, good. Any other thoughts? Bismillah.
Maulana, I take it from that there was no distinction between the message that the messengers brought. So all the messengers brought the same message.
Okay. And how do you reconcile that with we regard the Prophet to be the greatest of messengers? We obviously have Nabi Ibrahim as a high maqam, as the father of many Anbiya. So how do you reconcile that? I mean, it's an important question because you want consistency in your understanding.
Maulana, isn't it like we make no distinction, like as normal people, but the only reason why we would regard the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam as the best of creation is because that's what we've been told by Allah Ta'ala, and obviously we revere and we respect all the other messengers, but only based on what Allah is saying. Because of that, that's how we know. Otherwise, we wouldn't. They would all be the same.
Okay, so I think a lot of these discussions come back to terminology. When you say like distinguish, I think distinguish is like an ambiguous word. It's better to stick to the Arabic. The Arabic says la nufarriq. Does anybody know what tafariq means? A fariq. So a fariq means a group. A group. So la nufarriq means that we do not put the messengers into different groups, meaning that we accept these and we reject these. Did the Jews do that?
Yes, Maulana, they rejected Nabi Isa alayhi salam.
The Jews, in other words, they had a group to say these are our prophets, but Nabi Isa came and said he's not a prophet, he's in the other group. So when we say la nufarriq, it means that we don't decide to accept some and we decide to reject others. To be a believer, you have to accept all the Anbiya. You have to accept all the Rusul. So that's the meaning of la nufarriq. It is different from something we call in Arabic tafdeel. Tafdeel, fadl means extra. We do believe that Allah Ta'ala gave extra things to certain messengers in different regards. Like Nabi Musa alayhi salam, he was able to speak, to converse with Allah Ta'ala. We have Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam was able to control the wind and the jinn. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam is Habibullah. He is the best of Allah's creation. So that tafdeel we believe in. Tafdeel, in other words, Allah gives fadl, Allah gives extra to certain messengers. We believe in that, but we accept them all as messengers, and we accept them all as having completed their duty to Allah Ta'ala as messengers. So that's important, just the difference between nufaddil, tafdil, and nufarriq. Okay. Bismillah. Because there are clear hadith about the Prophet Qiyamah, and there's many hadith about the Prophet being the pinnacle of Allah's creation and the pinnacles of all the messengers. We think about the Prophet making Isra to Masjid al-Aqsa, and he is the one that is leading the Salah. You think about him making the Mi'raj, he's the one that goes where the Jibreel can't go. We think about the Qiyamah, where everybody else says Nafsi, Nafsi, the Prophet says Ummati, Ummati. So there's definitely a number of hadith about that. Okay. Now, Bismillah. Inshallah, can we hear from some new voices? وَقَالُوا سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا. Some new voices, inshallah. Bismillah. What are the labels? Someone who hasn't spoken it today. What are the labels?
I'll try and go one now.
So Wasima, Bismillah.
How is they say? So I've got the file as at the end.
With the wow at the end is the fa'il. Good.
And then sami'na is we hear, and that's also the na is the file, so that's at the end.
Perfect. Good.
And the same would apply for ata'na.
Good.
Rabbana is our Lord. I've got that down as mudaf ilayh.
Good, because we have a damir attached to an ism, and therefore it's going to be mudaf ilayh, the Lord of us or our Lord. Good, mudaf ilayh.
Yeah. And then wa ilayka. It translates as to you. So I've got that as harful jar ismul majroor.
Good, perfect. So in other words, ilayka, just ila plus ka.
Yeah.
Ila means to, harful jar, and ka is ismul majroor. Okay, perfect. MashaAllah. Okay, the next one is for Dawra years only. So you're not Dawra years yet, so we'll leave you on that. Dawra years are going to be doing like more scales, so we'll do that some other time, inshallah. Okay, good. Any other questions on this? Any other questions on this? Are you finding this tough, or you finding this manageable? Are you finding all the work? I do appreciate those who are submitting it as well. Barakallah.
Maulana, it's actually quite nice to do. Is Maulana marking the work in the background?
I'm looking at it, inshallah, but I'm not formally giving you a report card.
Okay, good, Maulana, good.
Would you guys like a report card?
No, please not, Maulana. There'll be a lot of red X's on the papers, at least for mine.
No, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Okay, good. So let me just find my find the presentation for Fatiha.
Maulana, while we're
Maulana?
transitioning, Maaf,
Yes,
what
yes.
is the plan for the rest of the year in terms of schedule? Does Maulana know, have an idea?
So basically, we have 2 classes left after today. So the 22nd we have a class, and then the 29th we have an online class, and then our final class on the 6th of December will be in the mosque, inshallah. Our final gathering. So it's 2 more classes online, and then our final gathering will be in the masjid, also online as well for those who can't make it. But the final gathering is more like a closing of the year, and dhikr and nasiha from the teachers and so on. So the final class will be on the 6th, inshallah.
Okay, shukran.
So we have 2 weeks left for those. Bismillah.
Yes. What does Dora mean? I'm looking for the meaning for Dora. What does Dora mean? Second year? No.
Dawra.
Yeah.
Dara yaduru means to go around.
Yes, like
So,
cycle. That's
a cycle. Yes. So the reason why we call it Dawra year is because in that year we go through the Quran like around. We go from the beginning until the end. We go from the beginning from the end again all the time. So when you join that class, you just join where they are.
Okay.
So that's why we call it Dawra.
Okay, shukran.
Mashallah, I'm glad looking up the words is good. Okay. I'm just trying to find this presentation. Let me just see where it is. Okay. Actually, I can't. It's fine. I think I'll just teach without the presentation. I'll just put on the Surah Fatiha. It will be easier, inshallah. So let me just put it on. Okay.